Today we're going to be doing almost all the things. I have some sanding and gluing, I have some repurposing to do, and a little bit of painting. We're going to rust up some wire, and we're going to add some rustic primitive touches to some projects that I have going on. And we can't forget upcycling some thrift flips. Oh yeah, and I'm Shelly, and this is Repurpose My Way. Let's have some fun. I want to do a rust technique on this fencing, this chicken wire. So I'm just going to use my Dixie Belle patina paint and iron and make a mess. And I'm just going to just blot it. Blot it on there. It doesn't have to be completely covered. I don't mind if there isn't a lot of rust on it everywhere. I'm going to have something in the middle, so you're not going to be able to see it anyway, but I want to get it covered. And then I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come in with a second coat. So that's pretty much dry. Now I'm going to come in with the second coat and go over where I went before. It's easy to tell because you can see it on the paper, which is helpful. So I'm just going to kind of go over the same spots as best I can. I want this to be a little random, so it's going to be okay if I don't hit every spot. See, it has its own rust in some spots. I've got a couple there, but it's not enough for me. Okay, so now I have my patina spray in green. So while this is still wet with the second coat, I'm going to spray it. I also have the yellow, which I like to put in there, and I just put a little bit in the cap. Just dip this in, and just here and there. I'm gonna just randomly put it where I can. I like to use the brush for this part, because the spray is kind of too much sometimes. And we're gonna just let that dry and let the chemicals all react together and come back once it's done. Not sure if you can tell or see on screen, but I did get a little bit of rusting on my chicken wire, and that's gonna be perfect for the next step. So I want to use this little drawer that I have. I know it doesn't look like a drawer, but it used to hold CDs. So I took it all apart and used the slats to make little signs. That's in a previous video. And I'd like to use this drawer for some wall decor. So we're going to fix this up. I'm using my Fusion paint in the color Woodwick, and I'm going to give this 2 coats of paint. Now I know this looks rough, but that's what I want. I want a rustic, primitive look. At least that's what we're going for. Now what I want to do is I decided to take the chicken wire and add a little bit of black paint here and there throughout, not covering up the rusty spots, but just getting it around here and there to give it even more of a darker look. Now that those 2 coats are dry on my little box, I'm going to add my chicken wire. Now Fusion paint has a sealer in it, so I'm not going to bother sealing it. I'm just going to attach on the back the chicken wire, and then I'm going to trim off any wire that's sticking out so it doesn't poke or harm anything or anyone. Well, and in true Shelly fashion, we're going to go in and distress the edges, the front of the box, and wherever we can find to distress it and make it look old. Then I'm going to go in with my antique wax, put that on, and then rub it back and give it that good old aged look. So now that my repurposed box is put together, we're going to cover up those slides on the side that used to slide in and out of my little CD holder. I'm going to take some of this burlap ribbon and I'm going to darken it up a little bit so that it's not so bright, and I'm just going to use some black wax and a little soft brush, and I'm just going to slowly just go through and brush this on. And then I will go back and kind of wipe it back and get it into just the fibers of the burlap so that it'll give it an older look to match the box. Then just to put it on, I'm going to use some hot glue on either side of that little runner area and put this down all the way around. I didn't do the very top because I thought that might be a good spot to, if you hung it on the wall, to add some more stuff on top of it. So it kind of could be a double shelf. So I didn't put any ribbon on the top of that just in case that would happen. My friend Chris makes the most beautiful handmade projects, and I love to visit her booth and pick up some of her new and even old items that she's made because I just love them all. She made this sunflower, and I picked up a few of them and wanted to do some projects with them. So I'm going to affix this to my little shelf here. It fits beautifully and it's just wide enough for my sunflower. So if you want to check out my Etsy shop, I have a bunch of other projects that she's made and I've put them in there. You got to check out the cows. They're beautiful. I get these balsa wood crows from 24 Hour Crafts, and I have a link down in my description box for them with a discount code, so you want to go down and check those out if you want to pick up some of these. They have all kinds of different shapes, sizes of everything that you can think of, and thicknesses. And they're pretty reasonable, and the reason why it's 24-hour crafts is because once you order, it only takes them 24 hours to get that out into the mail for you. So it works out really well. And I love picking up a bunch of these little crows so that I have these on hand for projects just like this one. I painted my little crow black and let him dry. And now I'm going in and distressing the edges. Careful around his little feet because they are very delicate and small. It's just very thin wood there. Then once I get the sanding done, I'm going to go in with my antique wax and age him up. Of course, he needs a little homespun bow and a rusty star to dress him up and make him look just perfectly right for his little sunflower friend. So of course I need to glue this little guy in, so I'm going to make sure his little tail gets glued right here on the edge. I want it kind of sticking out a little bit. Have him touching here, and then I'm going to glue his foot down here. I like him kind of standing out a little bit from the sunflower. I'm just going to go on the back here. Make sure that he's secure. Whoops. Secure down. And then I'm just going to take, it doesn't want to stand up very good. There we go. Some of this messy Spanish moss, but I love it in these vignettes like this. And we're just going to pop it in just like so. All around. That's going to cover up his glue on his feet and things like that. All right. That in there. Maybe a little touch more in the back. I hate, this stuff is just so messy, but I really love how it looks. So I cut off some pip berries and I'm just gonna roll them up a little bit. Like so. Twirl the wires around a little bit. Bend them over. All right, and then I'm going to put some glue on it and glue them down. I like this color because it matches the sunflower. It brings out that mustardy color, which I love, of course. And I'll probably put another one in behind him. And I also have some pieces of Sweet Annie here that I think I'm gonna pop in there. I just love Sweet Annie in some of these projects, so we're gonna do that as well. I had so much fun with that first one that I thought this one would be fun as well. I did not make this one. I bought this all made up. This has the hardware cloth in the back of it, and it's a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to glue on some of my Spanish moss in spots where I'm going to be adding things, and I thought that would be a nice pop for those items. To be adding one of those sunflowers that my friend makes, and also these stuffed crows that she does as well. I've shown in the past how I have grubbied these up and given them a really nice smell to them, and just a grungy, primitive look to them. So I will link that up above. I'm going to be adding wire around his neck to secure him to the hardware cloth on the board, and I'm going to also do that with the sunflower. I want to make sure these guys are secure. I'll give them a little bit of glue also in the back just to hold them still and not from kind of flapping around. I have this piece of balsa wood that's a little sign, and I'm going to give that a quick stain, darken that up so that it matches the rest of my little scene that I have going on here. I'm going to wipe that back, and I have a poem that I printed off the internet, sunflowers and crows, and I just I ripped it out of a piece of printer paper and just tore it so that it had like an organic look, and made it just small enough so you could still see the stained look around the outside of the wood. I'm going to take my little black stamp pad and go all the way around the edges and darken that up. I'm going to use my transfer gel from Fusion. This is a lot like Mod Podge, but I feel like it's like a higher end. It's very nice and smooth when it goes on. I really like how this works out on this paper and wood. So I'm going to use that, and I just use it to glue it down, and then I'm going to cover the whole thing to make sure that it stays down and seals it in. I took my ink pad and went around the edges to kind of grubby that up a little bit, and now I'm going to just put some hot glue on the back of it and place that down at the bottom of my little scene that I have here, and I think that looks so cute together. I found an adorable little ladybug that I put in on the sunflower, and then I wanted to take some of my Sweet Annie, and I'm thinking tuck it in here and there, maybe, possibly, just to give it a nice smell and a nice look. If you're enjoying this video and these projects, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing and hit that bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a video so you don't miss a thing. Got this little wall decor paddle type thing from Goodwill for $1. It's all shiny, glittery, and not really my style. So I'm going to sand this down and get as much of this off as I possibly can. I love this Dixie Belle pine cone color paint, and I'm going to use that today on this board. I think this is a very primitive color. I really like it, and when it gets darkened up with antique wax, I think it looks even better. So I'm going to use this today so I can make an aged, old-looking sign. Once the 2 coats dry, then go in and sand down and distress the edges. Okay, I wanted to put flowers on here, but it just doesn't quite fit with my stamps that I have. And the stamps that I have are the farmhand IOD stamps. And let's see, this is what they look like. So I really like them. And I don't use them a lot because I don't make a lot of signs, but I thought this might be fun to do. So I am going to try and get the, I guess I'm going to do herb just because it will fit better. I want to write local up here, and then down at the bottom I want to do market maybe. But I'm going to have to practice a little bit because I hate my handwriting, and I know that that's going to be not any fun. I'm just going to put some paint in a plate and use my roller and roll that paint onto my stamp, and then I'm going to freehand it onto my board. And that seemed to work out okay. I did restamp the H because I didn't feel like it had quite enough paint on it, but I'll go back and do that after. I don't usually like to restamp because it usually messes things up, but this worked out okay. All right, I have it written out in pencil, and I've worked it a few times. I got the local up here and then the market. I'm not sure. I almost feel like it should be bigger, but I've increased it quite a bit from when I originally had it, so hopefully you can see that. But I like the local, so we're going to keep the local, and I'm going to just go in with a black marker. And I got a couple little dashes on either side. And I'm going to be sanding that so it's not going to look so in your face. It's going to be a little more distressed and not so bright. Now I'm going to work on the market. I really wanted to put flowers on here, but it just wouldn't fit. It's just not quite long enough. It probably would have fit going this way, like if I had turned the letters, but I wanted this to hang this way. So here we go. Market, local herb market. All right, I'm going to try a light sand on this and see how it works out. Okay. So this is one of my favorite transfers from Redesign with Prima. It's the vintage rustic. Absolutely love the colors and subject matter of these. They're just beautiful. And I always find something that I want to use on these on. So I have some pieces that I wanted to try and get on here randomly, just putting them on. All right, I just want to hit these a little bit with the sandpaper. Make them blend in a little bit better with my board. So I'm just doing some shadowing on my letters. And I was like going by an example. So I wanted to make sure that I got it right. So I didn't video the whole thing, but basically I just took my marker and went around and shadowed where I thought it would look good, just to make that herb pop out some more. I'm going to let that marker just kind of dry a little bit so it doesn't smudge. And then I'm going to sand it. All right, we're going to seal this in with some antique wax. It's going to darken everything up, make it look aged. So I like how that hits that board and it like darkens it up in spots. Love that. Okay, we're going to make it even more dark just by taking a stamp pad, and I'm just going to go around it a little heavier on the corners. Maybe a little heavier in here where people would, you know, tend to grab it. That's how, like, when you hold it there, typically. All right. I like that. Now what I'm going to do before my ink dries that I put on my edges, I'm just going to go along with my paper towel and just gently, just a very light, just going to like rub it in, kind of buff it in, just so it's not so stark. It's kind of worn.